I want you to picture this. Your kid comes home from school, they have 2 hours of homework plus a class project that has to be done before the weekend. You call and check in because you're still at work, and they're like, yeah, mom, I know what I'm supposed to do, got it. You get off the phone and go about your work. When you come home that night, you trip over your kid's backpack that's still in the entryway. You see a mess in the kitchen from your kid fixing a snack, and you look on the couch and your child's laying there on their phone watching TV or texting their friends. Does that sound familiar to any of you? If it does, this video is for you. Today we're going to look at how to help our kids become self-starters so that we're not always having to be there to get them to complete something. I want us to look at 5 simple ways that we can help our kids become self-starters. First, you want to start with something that your kids are interested in. If you want your kids to start taking initiative and to be more of a self-starter and be more independent, starting with homework might not be the way to go. You want to start with something that they like. So maybe you have a kid that's interested in art projects, or maybe they like pets and they like to take on the care of like giving the dog a bath or cleaning out the fish tank or whatever it is. Find something that your kids are interested in to help them get started. It's going to be much easier to get them on board with what you're doing when you're tapping into whatever it is they're interested in. Think about it as an adult, like when you're at work or maybe you're at home, wherever you are throughout the day. If it's something that you're not interested in or something that's not appealing to do, a lot of times we push that off to the side, right? You've got a big project at work, but you don't love it. It gets on the bottom of the stack of things that need to get done. You're at home, you're doing things at home, there's a big pile of dishes. You wait till the last minute to do that because it's not fun to do the dishes. It is the exact same with our kids. Those things that are not preferred for them, they're gonna push those things off. They're not gonna wanna get started on those activities. The next thing we can do is we need to put a limit on distractions. Our kids, and even us as adults, have tons of distractions in our daily life. There's video games, there's phones, there's computers, there's iPads. There's so much noise going on other than what we are supposed to be focusing on at a given time. It's very important that we pay attention to what is distracting our kids from doing what we want them to do. So take some time and figure out, what is your kid doing when you're asking them to do something else? If you're asking them to do homework, what is their go-to that they seem to get distracted by? If you're asking them to clean their room, what do they gravitate towards instead of cleaning their room? So let's look at some examples of how we can put some limits on this. If you want your child to complete their homework and they're always going to their phone, either give them a set amount of time on their phone as soon as they get home, like, hey, you have 10 minutes on your phone. Or you can say, hey, there's no time on your phone. You have to do your homework first, and then you can get on your phone for X number of minutes. If your child really likes to play video games, then put that limit on video games. Hey, first you have to do the dishes, and then you'll have time to play your video games. If your kid loves to scroll through social media and doesn't do the laundry like you've asked them to do, hey, we're gonna do laundry first, and then you get the time on your social media. Now, this seems like a super simple strategy that we've all thought of, but the reality is as parents, we get busy and we don't pay attention. We're distracted by something, and we don't pay attention to what our kids are distracted by when they're not doing what we want them to do. So really take some time to pay attention and be like, okay, I've asked my kid to do this. What are they doing instead? What are they going towards? The third thing we need to do is we need to help them make a plan. A lot of times just telling your kid, hey, I want you to go do X, Y, Z is not enough. Think about if I bought a new bookshelf for my office and just threw all the pieces to you, screws, the boards, all the stuff. If I just threw it to you and was like, here, I need you to put this together. Some of you, your personality, you're gonna figure out how to put that together. Some of you are gonna do it wrong. Some of you are gonna look at it and be like, I'm not doing that. There's no instructions with that. Our kids are the same way. They all have different personalities. We want to make sure that if we want them to be self-starters in the future and we want them to be more independent, we have to give them a plan to do that. What type of plan you use for your kid is really going to depend on your kid. Some of your kids are going to need the task broken down very simply in step-by-step instructions for what they need to do. Some of your kids can look at the big picture and they can break it down on their own, so they just need some general instructions on what the expectation is and how to accomplish that end goal. You might have a kid that can actually sit down and start on something but is super active and needs some movement, needs some breaks, so they might need you to help them figure out, hey, how do I take a break? When do I take a break? What do I do on that break? The next strategy is that you need to be available for help, especially in the beginning. And a lot of times I'll ask parents, hey, are you able to help your child with this? And we would all answer probably, yeah, I'm available. I'm there to help my kids. But I want you to think for a second of all the times that your kids ask for something and you have to tell them, hey, wait just a minute, let me do this. Or I've got to send this email, or let me finish this text. A lot of times we are doing things that are important, but we don't have the time to help our kids with what they need help with. If you are specifically working on teaching your child to be a self-starter and teaching them to be independent, you need to make sure that you've carved out some time to be available and help them. The reason for this is, if you're not available to help them and they reach that point of frustration where they can't move on, they're just going to stop and give up and they're not going to move forward. The goal with having a child that's an independent self-starter is for them to complete the task all the way. So we need to make sure that we are giving them the tools they need to complete that task, but in the beginning, that's going to take a little bit of time of us being available to help them and teach them. The last step, which is often the last step in so many things that I tell you, is you want to make sure that you provide reinforcement for successes. Now, I didn't say that you have to provide reinforcement for it to be done perfectly or all the way to the end or without any help from you. Teaching your child to be a self-starter is going to be a process that's going to take a little bit more time than maybe some other skills. So you want to kind of pick those baby steps and where they're being successful, where they're doing things on their own, and that's where you want to deliver your reinforcement. Once they get that first baby step, you want that to grow and you want them to do more the next time. So every time they're doing a little bit more and they're a little bit more successful, you want to provide reinforcement. Because remember, when you reinforce a behavior, you're going to cause that behavior to increase. So if you see that your child is being independent, they're starting activities on their own, and you provide that reinforcement, then it is more likely that they're going to do that again in the future, which is your goal. So if you're interested in helping your child be more of a self-starter, take more initiative, and be more independent, remember these 5 simple steps. First, you want to find something that they're interested in. Next, you want to put a limit on distractions. Third, you want to help them make a plan. Fourth, be available for help when they need it. And the last is you want to make sure you provide reinforcement when you see that they're being successful. If you found this video helpful, be sure and like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also find me on Facebook at Parenting with Less Stress, where I'll give you more proactive strategies you can use in your home.